Most cat breeds were shaped by human intention, designed, refined, selectively bred for appearance or function. The Maine Coon wasn't. And the story of how it actually came to exist is one that even most Maine Coon owners have never heard. Part 1. The Legends. Before we get to the truth, we have to pass through the myths. Because with the Maine Coon, the myths became part of the breed's identity. The most romantic one begins in revolutionary France. Marie Antoinette, facing execution, was said to have arranged for 6 prized long-haired cats to be shipped to America. She never escaped, but the story claims her cats did, arriving safely on American shores, where they eventually became the ancestors of the Maine Coon. Passed down for generations, stubbornly refusing to be disproven, despite the absence of historical evidence. Another theory was even more unusual, that this enormous, bushy-tailed cat was the result of breeding between a domestic cat and a raccoon. Genetically impossible, yet surprisingly widespread. The Maine Coon's thick, ringed tail made the comparison difficult for many to resist. These stories endured for a simple reason. The Maine Coon looked like a cat that demanded mythology. Too large, too distinctive, too wild-looking to have simply appeared. People wanted an origin worthy of the cat. What they didn't realize was that it already had one. Part 2. The real beginning. The winters of New England were unforgiving. Long-haired cats were common among working animals in the American Northeast, on farms, on ships, in settlements where rodent control mattered far more than pedigree. No one was designing a breed, but selection was happening nonetheless. Cats that survived the cold tended to be larger, stronger, better insulated. Over generations, coats grew denser and more water-resistant. Paws developed protective tufts, tails lengthened and thickened, capable of wrapping around the body in extreme temperatures. No breeder dictated this process. The environment did. What emerged was not a breed engineered by preference, but one shaped by adaptation. And in many ways, that history is more remarkable than any royal lineage. Part 3. Early recognition. By the late 1800s, the Maine Coon had begun attracting attention. It became one of America's earliest show cats, exhibited, admired, valued for its size, intelligence, and resilience. For a time, it was considered the dominant long-haired breed in the United States. The spotlight, however, would shift. Part 4. Decline. In the mid-20th century, Persian cats surged in popularity. Their heavily groomed coats and increasingly stylized features captured public preference. Breeding priorities changed. The Maine Coon's numbers declined sharply, and the breed came close to disappearing. A cat that had survived centuries of harsh climate nearly vanished because of fashion. Part 5. Preservation and return. Its survival depended on persistence. A small group of breeders initiated preservation efforts through the 1950s and 1960s. Careful breeding programs, combined with formal recognition from major cat associations, gradually restored the population. The Maine Coon returned, not reinvented, not redesigned, but preserved. Today, it stands among the world's most popular breeds. The Maine Coon sitting on your sofa right now carries all of that inside it. Adaptation, decline, recovery. Not a breed created by design, but one that endured long enough for humans to recognize its value. The myths were never the interesting part. This was no royal lineage, no mythical origin, just centuries of cold winters and a cat that refused to disappear. If you live with a Maine Coon, you already know there's something different about them. What is it about yours? Tell us in the comments.